So the essence of the objective of this class is to understand the fundamentals of Power BI. When you open the Power BI applications, what do you see? Understanding the interface, the dashboard of Power BI. That is the essence of this course. Firstly, when you open Power BI, what you're looking at right now is what you are going to see, all things being equal. For any device, this is the regular interface for Power BI. Now, if you're doing data analysis like data cleaning, I'll just go straight to the step-by-step ways of knowing what you have, just the basics. The firstly is the menu bar. What you see here is the menu bar, the file, home, insert, modeling, view, optimize, help. When you are cleaning your data, what you make use of basically is the menu bar, specifically the home, the insert. We are not doing other basic or advanced functions. We'll be talking about modeling. But for this class, we just want to know our way around the area. Okay. So firstly, this is your canvas. After the menu bar, the next thing you need to know is that this is your canvas. It's a playing ground. It's the playing ground. So your canvas, you see, import data from Excel, import data from SQL Server, and paste data into a blank table, use sample data. So this is your play field, your playground. Okay, more like the marketplace, the open square. This is your open square. So Power BI calls it the canvas. Next, you want to know is the panes. When you look at your right-hand side of the screen, this is the column, right-hand column. We call these panes. We have the data pane, the visualization pane, and the filter pane. The data pane, definitely, if you click on it, if you have imported any data, this is where you're going to find your data. To be sure that your data is available, this is the place you are going to find it. Next is the visualization pane. The visualization pane is basically used for telling stories, as the name implies, visuals. How do you visualize your data? How do you, after interpreting your data, how do you visualize your data so that the audience can draw inferences from it? And there are a number of charts that we have here, quite a number of charts, the histogram, the bar chart, the pie charts, the we have tables, column charts, a lot of them here, depending on the goal that you are driving at. So visualization is what you want to give attention to when you want to tell story with your data. Next is the filter pane. From this filter pane, you get to tweak your data a bit. You get to see the things you want to see and the things you don't want to see. So filter is just to make available the particular data that is on focus for your audience. That's filter. So when we are talking about data visualization, basically we look at these three functions from the pane column. Next, you want to know is the left-hand column, which is this place. Here, you want to look at how you can view the data in different perspectives. For example, we have the report view. We have the table view. Report view gives you more like a story. It gives you interpretation into how your table looks like from the fields. It gives you more like in a report view. And then the table view, it gives you a lot of arrangement on how your table looks like, your data looks like, I beg your pardon. And then we have the model view. Now, the model view is when you start performing basic functions in Power BI. And then, of course, we have the DAX query view. Now, when we start talking about formulas, we start talking about DAX query view. And then, of course, the last but not least, we have the TMDL view. This is more advanced feature. We're not going to be talking about that in the fundamentals of Power BI. Okay, so this is what we have here, and then the others are basic tools that you will use when you want to analyze the data. For example, the transform. As we go in the next course, we're going to understand basically what these mean. So the next course, we are going to talk about importing your data in the Power BI. See you there. Welcome to the Power BI Fundamentals, Part 2, where we talk about how to import your data. Let's get it. Now, in this course, we're going to learn about the step-by-step procedure on importing your data. This is a course on its own, and one of what you're looking at right now is importing your data from your device into the Power BI dashboard. That is what we want to look at. So the whole of this course, fundamentals of Power BI, is centered on what you are looking at, from Excel to Power Query. Number 3, data model. Number 4, DAX. Number 5, data visualization. Number 6, interaction, and then number 7, of course, publishing. But what we're looking at right now is importing your data from your device into Power BI. Note that Power BI is also compliant for mobile devices, smartphones especially, and you can also use it. But that will be in another class. The essence of this class is to use the PC or your laptop. That being said, let's go straight into the course. So the first thing you want to do, first of all, is to understand the interface of Power BI when you open it. I have made a separate video for that. You can look at the fundamentals of Power BI part 1. So I'm not going to go into details on that one. Now, having understood the basic functions, the basic features that you need while working in Power BI, talking about the canvas, the pane, the home tab, and the views, we want to look at how to import your data into Power BI. Firstly, you open the Power BI interface. You open the Power BI interface. Let's go straight to Power BI. All right, so now you are seeing your Power BI. Okay, so you go straight into it. Now this is the interface of the Power BI. Definitely, this is the interface of the Power BI. So once you've opened this place, the next thing you want to do is you go straight to the Home tab. Now there are different ways you can import your data. You can import your data from the Home tab from here. You can import your data from the canvas from here. Basically, you can also import your data from Excel worksheet if you have one. So there are different ways. So I'll just go straight to the most easiest and the most used method of importing your data. So you click the Excel workbook. Excel workbook. All right, so click the Excel workbook. Don't mind being intonation. You don't understand, don't you? So you click the Excel workbook, and then from your device, you look for your data. In this regard, I'm going to look for, okay, let me make use of the prodigal costume inventory. I'll just click on it, click on open, wait a little bit because it's going to connect with your device and make sure that Everything is in alignment as it's were. Fantastic. There we have our data. So the next thing you want to do is to click on this box right there. Click on it. It's clicked already. It's a box. So once you click on the box, you see your data over here. Now this is very important. Anytime you are importing data into Power BI, do not be in a rush to click on load. You have to ensure that the data you are bringing in is clean. Now, when you click on transform data, it automatically takes you into another interface entirely called the Power Query. That's going to be in another class. But I hope you get the point. If you have any questions, you can drop in the comment section. I'm going to answer it. The essence of this very video is to ensure that you know how to import your data. Thank you. See you in the next class. Welcome to the next class on the fundamentals of Power BI Part 3. Now, in this course, we are going to talk about the Power Query. The Power Query. Now, the Power Query is all about cleaning your data, ensuring that it is fit for any analysis and interpretation, as well as inference. So we'll just go straight. In the last class, where we stopped is when we're talking about importing our data, we stop at this very interface. Right? So, and then we said that when you're importing your data, you don't just click on load, except you are 100% sure of the data you're importing is clean. Clean will mean that it is a normal data, a symmetric data. If it is not normal, it becomes asymmetric. In this regard, we're just going to click on transform data, and it will take us to another query. It will take us to the exact Power Query interface. Let's go. This is it. This is our Power Query interface. Yes, what you're looking at right now is the Power Query, and there's a whole lot to explain in this place. Right. The first thing you want to know is that understanding the Power Query interface, you need the Power Query screen. You need to know that there's a left side, there's a middle side, and there's the right side. The left side, what you see in the left side is the queries panel. So it shows the table that you have imported. What did I say? Is the query panel. It shows the table that you have imported. This is what I mean. Let me maximize that. This is what I mean. Okay. Now, what you see here, what you're seeing here. Okay, I'm trying to ensure that this thing is in place. So now what you're seeing here is what we call the power pane. Okay. Yes, the query pane, and it shows that's the left hand side. I beg your pardon. This is the left hand side. This is what I'm talking about. This is the left hand side. This is the query pane. It shows the data that you have imported. Right. For example, the prodigal customer inventory. That's what we have here. Okay. And then the next that we have is the middle. That is the data area. It shows all records. You see here, this is the middle. It shows all the records of data that have been imported. Okay. And then the next you see here is the left, the right column, the extreme right hand side. What you see here is the right area. It shows applied steps. Whatever query you execute in Power BI, it shows here. As you execute filter, it shows here. as you execute sorting, it shows here delete, it shows here whatever query or navigation or manipulation you impute, it shows on this side. So this is the performance index of your Power BI. So instead of you going back or reverting, you just go to the steps that you have executed and it will take you right there, right? So this is how you know that your query has been well executed. You're going to see the result here. This is one thing that we need to know about the Power Query. Now, the next thing we also need to understand is what? Checking our data types, right? Checking our data types. When we check our data types, we look at this table. So you'll see an icon here. You see the ABC icon. It means that this data is calibrated in alphabets, right? If it is in numbers like this one, you will see it here. Okay, you will see it here. It means that what Power BI is saying in this column is that what we have here is numeric. So this one is alphabet, this is alphabet, this is alphabet, this is alphabet. Just like Excel, Power BI recognizes data in three categories: text, dates, and numerics, which we also call numbers. Now, this is very important when you're working with Power BI. So you need to know the kind of data that is in that column exactly. That will help you to execute your command when we are talking about DAX functions much later in Power BI. So that's it for this class, for this course. In the next course, in the next class, we're going to talk about um, executing the filter, cleaning your data proper, data cleaning, the fundamentals of data cleaning. That's what we're talking about in the next class. Stay tuned for it. Welcome to this class. In this class, we are going to talk about the fundamentals of Power BI, part 4. This is about the fourth class that we'll be dealing on. And in today's class, we are going to lay emphasis on how to clean your data using Power BI. Having imported it, in the previous course class, we talked about once it is imported, you have to make sure that your data is clean. And in making sure that your data is clean, you don't click on the load icon. Instead, you click on the transform data menu. We talked about that in details in the last class. I think that is part 3. Now, in this course, in this class, we're going to talk about how to make sure that your data is clean. And I have a sample data here that we'll be working on in this course for the benefit of this course. So we're just going straight to what we have for today. So the first thing you want to look at is it's removing excess spaces. That's what we want. That's what we want to look at right now. Removing excess spaces, removing extra spaces. This is one of the approaches to cleaning your data. To do that, you go to the transform tab. You will see transform tab here. You will see the transform tab here. Yes, you'll see the transform tab here. Having clicked on transform tab, you will go straight to are we on transform tab already? Yeah, that's transform tab. So you go after transform tab, you go straight to format. From format, you click on trim. That's it. So you look at your applied steps, you see that it has streamed this column, costume ID. So I can do that for costume name. I can do that for costume name. I can do that for character. I can do that for production. I can do that for costume type. I can just do that for the column that is of specific interest. Yes. So it does that exactly the way you want it. So that's how you trim your data. Trimming means that you want to remove extra spaces. Now, the second thing we want to look at is how to standardize your data. Standardizing your data. Okay. To standardize your data, that will be the next step. Now, standardizing your data means that you want to make sure that everything is in alignment. All right. You want to make sure that all your data is what in alignment. Now, to do that, you're already on transform, the transform tab. You still go to the formats, and then you say capitalize each word. Capitalize each word. Firstly, I didn't tell you that anytime you want to initiate a particular cleaning modalities, you have to click on the column of specific interest. So I can do that for character. I'll go to make sure that you're already in transform. I told you that anytime you want to do data cleaning, transform is the tab that you always do all the engineering there. So from transform, you go to formats. For format, you go to capitalize. You can see under this format options, you see a lot of options that you can mess up with. You can mess with here. This is string, this is plain, this is add prefix, this is add suffix. That is, if you want to add something before the alphabet or before the data or after the data, that's add suffix. Suffix is after the data. Prefix is before the data. You want to clean, so you can really mess up with this whatever you have here, just to try your hands to make you understand it better. But for this course, so that we won't have the video too lengthy, we'll just use capitalize. So capitalize. Now, a good way to know that it has applied is when you look at the applied steps. So you see these are the steps that I've undertaken so far: trimmed text and then capitalized text. And yeah, so the next one we want to look at is column. Now you can remove column, you can delete column, as the case may be. You can add column, as the case may be. There are some columns that you don't need. This is very important when you are working with data that has to do with form filling, especially applications. If you're using applications, for example, if you're using other applications in websites, maybe a plugin in a website like Forminator, or you are using Google Form, by the time you export the spreadsheets, it comes with a lot of columns that you invariably don't need. So what Power BI affords you the feature or the opportunity to delete and remove columns if you think formatting them or cleaning them will not do you good. Okay. So these are some of the basic necessities that we undertake in this course. So now to remove column, you basically if you want to rename a column, for example, you just double click. All right, double click will give you the time to, you can see I can type here now. For production, I can also double click. For custom type, I can also double click. That's for formatting the name. And then for formatting the name, you can type on that, click on that column, and then right click. It gives you the option to remove other column, duplicate column. So we have a lot of options in this place that you can really mess up with. Okay, so yes. But for the purpose of this class and for the scope of this class, we are going to be looking at just the necessity. All right, so just the necessity. So far so good. We have talked about how to remove extra spaces or excess spaces. We have talked about how to standardize your data, which is can make sure that each word is capitalized accordingly. We have talked about how to rename your column. Yes, your column title, column heading. We have talked about how to remove your column, and there's also to add column as well in that regard. Okay. Now, when you observe, we have also talked about observing the applied spaces and how they work in that regard. We look at the right hand side of your screen. Assuming you're working with a laptop, you will see all the steps that you have applied. It's there. So that's to tell you that you are in good um, shape. Now, when that one is done, the next step you want to do is to do what? Load your data. Now, the reason why we say load your data is for no other reason than to say that if you're done, if you're done with all the steps that you have, the next thing you should do is to load your data. Now, don't forget that all this while we have been talking about formatting cleaning your data. Yes, cleaning your data in that regard. Now having cleaned your data, it is expected that you load your data. Now, in loading your data, it means that your data is ready to be used for um, any work that you want to use it for. It's ready for any analysis that you want to undertake. That's what it means in that regard. That's what it means. So, so we are going to load our data right about now. And to do that, after you're done with all the cleaning that you need to do to make sure that your data is fit for analysis, you just go straight to the close and apply. That's the menu at the extreme top left side. You just click on close and apply. So when that is done, then you have loaded your data. So what we have here is, oh, it's still loading. So you can see that it's loading. So let it load. So once it is loaded, then you cannot proceed with other data analytical processes, like you want to execute the DAX functionality or the data modeling. So now we have loaded our data. So a good way to know that the data is loaded is when you look at the data pane, you'll see that your data is here. Yeah, this is your data. So once you click on it, you're going to see what you're looking for over there. So now that is for our data cleaning fundamentals. In the next class, we're going to talk about other functions, and I want you to stay tuned because it's just getting very, very interesting. See you in the next class. Welcome to the next part of the class, Fundamentals of Power BI, Part 5. And in this class, we're going to be talking about data model. Yes, we're going to be talking about data model. So this is what we're going to be talking about. Everything about data model is what we are going to be laying emphasis on. So just make sure that your Power BI application is opened, and if you follow the course up to this moment, you'll see that we are working with a sample data, which we called prodigal inventory. Yes, production inventory. So in this class, we're going to be taking it a little bit further, and we'll be looking at what data model is all about. And to do that, we are going to be explaining what data model is. Yeah, we're going to be explaining what data model is. So firstly, let's look at what data model. What is data model? Definitely. What is data model? Now, data model means that connecting different tables so that they can work together. Yes, it's come to a time where you have a lot of data that need to be visualized. In the process of analyzing your data, you discover that you have multiple tables. And instead of shuffling from one table to another, opening different windows or opening different pages in Power BI, you can easily bring them together under one dashboard and work together. This is very important for analysis so that the audience can have a clear view of what is happening. It's important for interpretation. So this is exactly what it looks like. Assuming we are working with two tables. We're working with the custom inventory and the props inventory. These are these are two different case studies under one production. Okay. Now I'm using this. I'm using the theater art as a case study for this class. Okay. Yes. So now, assuming you are working with two tables, table one is custom inventory and the table two is props inventory. What do? You want to make analysis uh, of a particular column in custom inventory compared to a particular column in props inventory. You want to compare, you want to look at, okay, how many custom are used and how many props are used. You want to put them into one category, into one interface. How do you do that? Instead of going from one table to another, opening different windows or different panes, data model allows you to connect tables together. So data model is about assessing the relationship between tables. What kind of relationship do they share? All right. So it is very, very important for you to connect tables. And then moving further with data modeling, it allows you to do better analysis, give better report and better dashboard. And then it allows you to determine the relationship that exists between two tables. All right. So as we go into details, we're going to understand what that means more and more. And then we are going to see what kind of relationship do these tables share. Is it cordial? Is it one to many relationship? So we're going to understand what that means in a bit. Okay. So well, to have to have an idea of what this means, let's just go straight to how to identify, how to know where data model is. If you're already here, you can see that we'll be working with a particular data all this while. There's a particular data that we'll be working with. And if you have been following us, you will see that we have been working with the prodigal costume inventory. The production is prodigal in that regard, and then we name it prodigal costume inventory. So this is supposed to be custom inventory. So if you've got to this point, if you've not got to this point, if you just stumbled upon this video, you realize that we've had other sets of classes before this. So this is a data that have been cleaned over time. It's a data that have been cleaned. What that means is that it is rid of mistakes. So straight to what we have today. If you look at the the left panel of your dashboard, we say this is the canvas area where the playground is. You'll see report view, table view, and model view. What we want to look at is model view. So when you click on model view, in model view, you will see all the tables that have been imported that you are working with. So this is the available table here. And in data modeling, we're going to add another table because remember, it's about connecting two tables together and determining the relationship that is for better reporting, better analysis. So we're going to do that in a bit. We're going to include another table to this place. Let's go back to our report view. We're going to include another table to this place. First of all, let me see how I can, okay. So okay. Now to include another table, you follow some certain procedures. Okay, so let's go to our billboards. So definitely you follow certain procedures. So this step two, we're going to import other tables into this dashboard. To do that, you just go straight to your imports. Okay. Um, you go straight to import. You can import from Excel, um, Excel workbook. Once you click on this import Excel workbook, it will take you to where you need to import from your device. So we're going to move on to what we have. Now take note, there are different ways we can import multiple tables. I can import another table added to what I already have here, or I can automatically have a new dashboard with no table here and then import the two tables all together. Do you get that? So now that I already have this table here, all I just need to do is to import another table and add it to it, and then we'll move on from there. Let's try that. So I have props inventory here. Okay. Yeah, I have props inventory. Okay, I already have costume. So I could as well import these two tables basically because they seem alike. But then let me just import another table that's called props, and let's see what happens after that. So it will load, and then it will prompt me to, all right, so these have different sheets. All right, so if you have a data like this, you just select the table that you want. You select the table that you want. I want table three. Do I want sheet one? I don't think I want sheet one. Let me see what sheet one is all about. Okay, sheet two. I don't want sheet two. I don't want sheet one. So the only one I want here is what? Table three. So here I have props name in this column. So I'll just go with this, right? So I'll just go with table one. If I want sheet one, I can go with sheet one, but I don't think I want sheet one. So in this regard, normally if I told I in the last class, we said something that if you are bringing in a new data, it is very important that you make sure that the data is safe. And by doing that, you just click on transform so that you can perform all the cleaning modalities that are involved, like removing extra spaces, like standardizing the data, like renaming your heading, column heading, and everything that you think you can do to make sure that your data is fit for analysis. But in this regard, because we're doing data modeling, I'll just go straight to load the data, to load it. All right, so it's going to load, and once it's done loading, I have another data here. So you can see at the data view, at the data pane, we have the prodigal costume, and then we have table three. Table three here is what we are seeing as what? What we are seeing as the costume. It could have been named costume, but I can just do a rename here. I can do a rename there, and I could name it props. Props. Um, okay, so let's say prodigal. No. Let's just say props. Props inventory. Okay, are we there? Inventory. Enter. So I've renamed it, right? So take note, when renaming it, you realize that I use underscore instead of giving space. That's the sensitivity of Power BI. So having said that, we'll just go straight to we'll do what? We'll go straight to our model. So don't forget that what we're trying to do here is to understand what model view is. So the next step we want to do, having imported our two data, we want to go to is to identify common fields. So how do you identify common fields? That's very easy. It's easy. So when you get to your model view, go to model view, you will see the two data that you have imported. Now, this data here has what we call um, common field. Common field could pass for the field that has similarity in nomenclature. What that means is field that has almost about the same name. In this regard, I have a couple of fields here that has the same name. For example, I have quantity. Quantity is there. There's quantity in crops and there's quantity in costume. I have costume name and I have crops name. Okay, so these are common fields. Now, take note when you do data, don't forget that data model is about determining the relationship between two tables. And in determining the relationship between two tables, you have to look for the common denominator. What do they have in common? And that's what we mean by common field. Okay, so the next step, therefore, is to drag. When you are once you have identified the common fields, you drag the table, you drag the fields into another. We'll just go straight. Let me tell you what that means so that we have it now. Step 4. Now, create a relationship is a simple method. Click production name. Let's say, for example, we have identified common field between the props and the costume. So we'll look at costume name and production name. So in this regard, it will not be production, it will be costume name and in props inventory, and then you drag it to determine the relationship. All right. So it says drag it to production name in props inventory. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Once we drag, you're going to see what happened. All right. So let's go to that part. Now this is it. So we are going to click on costume name and then drag it to where you can see drag it to props name, leave it there. This is data modeling. Now you can see here that we have been able to determine the relationship between two tables, and there's the relationship between the costume name and the props name. All right, and there's a whole lot we can read in this place. We'll talk about that in a bit. So the name of the relationship is 1-to-1. We're going to talk that in a bit. Let's go to our slides much later still. In our slide, what you see, what happened? Both tables are now connected. Are both tables connected? Yes, they are connected. Look at it. They are connected. Initially, you didn't have these two tables. Look at the background. What you have is this. But now you have these two tables. And you can see the costume name is highlighted and then props name is highlighted. This is data model. If you want to do visualization for this, it's going to be really clear. And your audience is going to understand what you are trying to explain instead of using figures, navigating from one table to another. Do you get the point? Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So let's go to our slides and explain more about that. So this means that filters can affect both tables, and that's correct. Okay, so I can do a lot of filters here. Whatever filter I execute in this regard is going to affect these tables. So if I want to do data cleaning, if I want to standardize, if I want to remove excess spaces, I can readily do for these two tables just with one click of the button instead of doing table 1 and then go over to data claim table 2. This is very, very important for time sake, especially when you don't have time on your side. Another thing we'll see is that visuals can work together. This is the beauty of Power BI. And then step 5, we're going to understand the relationship. When we look at the relationship line, tables are connected, data flow between them. We're going to see that there is a relationship line. For example, what is the relationship line? This is Okay. The other time when I was talking, I did mention the relationship line. This is relationship line basically. So we're looking at the kind of relationship that they have, cordiality. This is 1 to 1. And we're going to explain that a bit if there is time and if it is necessary for this class. So step 6, now we check the relationship data. We'll check the relationship. Now what that means is that once we once we double click the relationship line, you will see first table, second table, connected field, and relationship type. That is already displayed. That is already displayed in our table here. So what that is saying is that this is the nature of relationship that exists between the two tables. It is 1 to 1 because I connected one column to another column. So that's the nature of the relationship. So this is what data modeling is. And from here, we can progress to do visualization, but that is not the scope of this class. So I hope you understood what data modeling is at this moment. This is the fundamental, this is the basics. That's it. If you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section, or any topic you wanted to teach, you can drop it in the comment section, and we'll do just that as God gives us grace. The next topic is going to be DAX basics. Stay tuned for it. There's more coming on the way. So welcome to the next class. This is the fundamentals of Power BI part 6. And in this class, very briefly, we're going to be talking about DAX basics. Well, for information purpose, DAX actually means data analysis expressions. It's basically functions and formulas and all that. So for the scope of this class, we're going to be looking at addition, subtraction, and count where necessary. So I'll just give the basic for addition. Now, if you've been following this course from the beginning, from part 1 to this moment, you realize that we're using a sample data called the prodigal costume inventory. So whatever interface you open, let's assume that you have imported your data, and this is one of my data view, by the way. Okay, this is one of my data views. What I have is a table view. There's a report view, so I am actually at the table view. The table view is where you see your different tables. Report is if you had a visualization, you will see a report here. And then modeling, when you're doing modeling, you want to connect two tables together. We've had that already. I have done my modeling here, and then DAX. So now we want to look at what DAX function is. Basics. Now, the first thing you want to do, wherever you are in the Power BI, just go to, you might find yourself at home. Look at the menu bar, you see File, Home, Insert, Modeling. Go to Modeling. And then when you get to Modeling, you click on New Measure. Excuse me. All right. So, New Measure will take you to this exactly. Yeah, this exactly. So the table we are working in is this table. When I go to table view, I'll see what I'm working with. Yeah. Okay, table view. This is what I'm working with. Actually, this is what I'm working with. So I come here, I see what I am working with. So now I want to do a sum of this fabric used. That's what I want to do. It ought to be fabric, actually. It ought to be fabric. So let's call it fabric. Yeah. So we have something like this. Now I want to look at the sum of our fabric views. And what I would do I will go to my model, I will go to home, and sorry, I have to go to I'll go to table. Table gives me home, a different interface, so I'll go to modeling. So for modeling, I will find my way to new measure. So new measure, I'll name it according to the table I'm trying to look for. I want to look for the total um, fabric fabric used. All right, once I'm done, I'll click equal to, and then I'll say sum. I'll click on that sum, and then I'll scroll down to the particular column that I want to sum. In this regard, I'm talking about the prodigal costume inventory column. I'll click on that fabric used. Yes. And then whatever it gives me, I will make sure that I wrap it up with the bracket sign. That's if you're using Windows, like me, you use a shift plus the bracket sign. I'll put a bracket there and I will enter. Now, once you enter, do not make the mistake of thinking that it did not apply. It actually have applied. You've seen it has summed everything there. So what you just need to do is to go to your measure, go to this total fabric, because this is applied steps here. So you will see, when you come to this place, you will see, let me remove now this thing clearly. When you come to this place, you will see the data. When you come to data pane, you will see the total fabric. Click on it. And then when you click on the total fabric, let's say just analyze. Now you will see your graph. You see your chart here. Now take note. Let's drag this one here. Let's bring it here. Let's enlarge it a bit. Now take note. Now this chart is not what we want to look at. So this is a chart. This is a bar chart thereabout. So you want to change this chart to table view. You want to change it to table. So just go to table and click that table. It changes now. Okay. So once you click on table, you see the total here. All right, that's the total. Now, if you didn't see the total figure here, all you need to do is to drag the fabrics to this table. You will see it there, right there. Yes, right there. You'll see it right there. So just make sure that you are in a table. The chart that you're working with is the table, and then you see your. In some cases, you won't see there. What you will see is the table. So all you just need to do is to drag it, drag the total fabrics to the table. It allows you to drag the total fabrics to the table, and then you will see it there. Okay, so that one is taken note of. So this is how to do summation. You can do addition. You can do counts. The same method. You can just say counts, counts the fabric, or count the number of props used. We can do count. You can do subtraction, as the case may, following this same method of DAX basics, talking about addition. So that's it for the addition using DAX formulas. We'll look at something else in the next class. Thank you. So welcome to the 7th class of fundamentals of Power BI. This class, we're going to talk about visualization, data visualization. We'll just go straight to data visualization. So now this is your canvas. This is your dashboard, definitely. So when you are talking about visualization, you want to talk about what appeals to the eye. How does your data, how is your data seen? That's visualization. How do you want to tell the story using your data? That's visualization. So visualization is after you've done all necessary analysis, like the cleaning, and you've done some measures about it, and then you want to visualize what you're looking at. That's visualization. So now these are some of the things that we have here. We have fabrics, we have quantity, we have fabrics used, and all that. So what we want to do is to make sure that when we're talking about visualization, of course, we're talking about the visualizations pane. So the data that is of most interest to us, you might be asked to use any kind of chart. So let's look at our power chart. So yeah, This is a part chart. Let's make it a little bit, let's drag it to show some visuals that we want. So we have something like this. And then what we'll do is that you look at uh, the tables. You look at the columns that you want to visualize. Often it's within two columns. So let's say I want to look at the uh, the name of each fabrics by the name of each fabrics by their I want to look at what is the condition for each of these fabrics. I want to look at it. I may want to look at the condition for each one of them. So I'll drag name to the X axis. What do I have here? Have I chosen this one? Have I chosen this already? Good, I have chosen it already. So, okay. All right. Okay. That one is for part chart. All right. So I was looking at this. So in case you want to look at the X and Y axis, we were doing about bar chart. So for pie chart, you might not need that one. So I want to look at some comparison here. So I will just go to, so I've changed the chart because I want to make use of X and Y axis. Okay. Pie chart does not allow me for that. It has a different, but for the benefit of the student, the people who are listening to, watching this video, I want to begin with one of the charts. Like what I have here is column charts. I can as well use clustered bar chart. So let's have that one there. And then I want to drag name, custom name to the X axis. Then drag it to the X axis, right? And then I drag the which of them I can drag the okay. Let me drag characters to the Y axis. So okay. So now what I have here, I have a display of characters and characters and the name of costume that they have. Okay, they seem to have equal percentage. And also, I need something different. I want to change the axis. So basically, this is how you do visualization. So you can decide to, let me have costume name in Y axis, and then have the characters on X axis. So it still gave me about the same thing. Okay. So, and then I have the custom name. Let me look at the quantity of fabric used. No. All right. Yeah. Fabric used. So good. So I have the custom name and I have the fabrics that I've used. So this gives me a clear visualization. So I have the most used fabrics as the farmer attire. All right, so that's the most used fabrics of the production. And then I have the dancer costume. That's the second to most used fabric. And then I have the warrior attire. And that's the third most used fabric. So, yes. So now you can see what's happening here. And definitely this is what visualization means. So you can see once I put my concept there, you'll be seeing the farmer attire fabrics is about 220. And then that of the dancer costume fabric is about 200. So this is what data visualization gives you. So if we change the chart to give us something like this, right? So if we click on pie chart to give us something like this. Okay, so pie chart gives you a different visual entirely, which is love. I mean, pie chart always have this thing of giving the expected. You know what I mean? And then you can still mess around with chart. You can change to other kinds of charts. You can change to column charts to give you something like this. So the chart, all of these charts has their usefulness. There's a chart for comparison. There's a chart for determining the differences. There's a chart for determining the percentage. Pie chart is often best for determining percentages. All right. So most of the times I use bar or histogram or column chart for comparison. Okay, so all of this gives you an idea of what visualization is all about. So this is what visualization of data is all about. So let's assume that we want to change this one to fabrics used. So you see that as soon as I add more data, it gives me, um, it compounds it builds on the existing visual. So now I just added total fabrics used, and then it gave me this one. It gave me, so you see the blue, the thicker blue, the dark blue is for fabrics used, and the light blue, which is often like sky blue, is for sum of fabrics used. So I have total fabrics used and I have sum of fabrics used. So if I delete one of them, you will see what happens next. So you see now what I have is total fabrics used. So depending on your goal or what you're asked to do or what your organization wants you to do or what's your instructor, lecturer, in an exam condition, what you're asked to do is exactly what you do here. The point is to know how to visualize your data. And that's it for this class. We'll handle another topic as time goes on. So let's look at the next topic.